Hi, it's Andy, and I'm really glad you're here with me today. I think this episode is going to be really powerful for anybody who has found themselves stuck in regret or mistakes from their past and unsure how to move forward. This is really for you because there's 5 simple steps that you can work through. We're going to talk about that today, how to do it exactly, and how to release yourself from those prisons in our mind. I think it's going to be really powerful. I'm glad you're here. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Leading Life Podcast, the place where leadership meets real life. Here is where we talk about leading with intention, living with clarity, and getting better results for the people we serve every single day. If you're ready to grow, you're in the right place. Right now, on today's episode, how to forgive yourself and move forward. Welcome to the Leading Life Podcast. I'm Andy Zook. This isn't just a podcast about leadership. It's about who you are becoming as a leader and as a person. My mission is to evolve how we lead, bringing modern thinking and real human impact into a world that's sometimes still holding on to outdated leadership models. So my promise to you is no fluff, no empty motivation, just practical actions that you can take immediately. And today, we're talking about something that most people avoid, but a lot of people carry still, and that is forgiving yourself. Not just saying it, not just thinking it, but actually letting go so you can move forward without dragging your past into your future. And one thing I've learned throughout my life is that we as humans tend to wrap ourselves up in chains, especially those of us who are very self-aware. And so we wrap ourselves up in these chains for things that have happened in our past. And while the awareness is great, and the desire to not repeat those things is great, whether we hurt somebody or we hurt ourselves, we've got to learn to be able to break through those chains, though. We have to learn to be able to release ourselves. And I think some people never really learn how to do that. I think they get caught up, the chains are wrapped so tight around them that it almost suffocates them and they end up worse off or they can't move forward at all in their life. I think that happens a lot. I think we see a lot of people out there stuck. I want this to unstick you if you're going through this. I also want to bring this to life for you with a real example of having to forgive myself and basically what I did to go through the steps to get to the other side. But first, here is somebody we probably all know, and that's Robert Downey Jr. He was one of Hollywood's biggest talents in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. But at one point, he lost everything. Addiction took over his life. He was arrested multiple times, sent to prison, and he became basically unhireable in Hollywood. At one point, his career was essentially over. But here's the key. It wasn't just about getting sober. He had to forgive himself. Because imagine trying to rebuild your life and you're still believing, I blew it, or I ruined everything. No one's going to give me another chance. Instead, he did the work, though. He got clean. He got sober. He took responsibility. He rebuilt trust slowly. And then he accepted small roles to get his way back in. And eventually, he became Iron Man, one of the biggest comeback stories in entertainment history. So at some point, Robert Downey Jr. had to make a decision, not just to change his life, but to stop defining himself by his worst years. Because if he didn't forgive himself, he would have just stayed stuck in that identity forever. I want the same for you. Because here's the truth most people won't say out loud. You cannot lead your life powerfully if you're still quietly punishing yourself for who you used to be. Most people think they've moved on, but sometimes they just haven't. They've buried it, or they're using drugs and alcohol to escape, or they minimize, they joke about it, or they distract themselves from it. But internally, they're still carrying regret, guilt, shame, or disappointment. And here's what that does. It quietly shows up inside of us. We start overthinking. We start being more defensive. We start people-pleasing. We have self-doubt, or we go through feeling our entire lives like we're not good enough. It's not because they're broken. It's because they never forgave themselves. So let's talk a little bit about the brain. Remember, it's wired to protect you. So when you make a mistake, it creates a loop. Don't do that again, or remember that pain you went through. Stay alert. That's useful once, but when you replay it over and over, it turns into an identity. I made that mistake becomes I am that mistake, and that's where people get stuck. So here's where the shift is. Self-forgiveness is not letting yourself off the hook. It's not that at all. It's not pretending it didn't matter or avoiding responsibility. It is taking full responsibility without lifelong self-punishment, because punishment doesn't create growth, understanding does. So I want to go through 5 steps to help you deal with whatever you're dealing with and forgive yourself. Let's make this real and actionable. Number 1, tell the truth. Don't soften it. Tell the straight truth. Most people either avoid it or they beat themselves up endlessly. Neither's going to work. Trust me, I've been there. Instead, say it clearly. What did I do? Who did I impact? What do I regret about it? No excuses, no exaggeration, just truth. This matters because you will never heal what you don't face. Number 2, separate who you are from what you did. This is not everything. This does not define you. You are not your worst decision. You're not your biggest regret, and you're not your lowest moment as a human. Everybody makes mistakes. If you blur those lines, you'll stay stuck. If you separate them, you will start to grow out of it. So say this: that was something I did. It is not who I am. Number 3, I want you to extract the lesson. Nothing is wasted if you learn from it. I think I had that very conversation today with my wife in the car. Ask yourself, what did this teach me about myself? What will I never do again? What standard do I have now? Your mistake becomes valuable when it becomes the teacher. Without the lesson, it's just pain. But with the lesson, it's total growth. Number 4, make it right if you can. If there's something to repair, do it. This could be an apology, a conversation, a letter you write, a changed behavior. Here's the key. Don't apologize to feel better. Apologize to be better. But also understand this. Sometimes you can't fix things in the past. Sometimes that person isn't there anymore, or the moment is so far gone that it doesn't even make sense. But that's where step 5 comes in. Now, number 5, release the punishment. This is the step most people never take. They think holding on to guilt equals accountability. It doesn't. It's emotional self-sabotage. At some point, you have to say, I've owned it, I've learned from it, I've done what I can, and I'm just not going to carry this anymore. And I mean it, because if you don't release it, you will keep reliving it. The leadership edge for this episode is remember that leaders who can't forgive themselves become more defensive, they over-control situations, and they struggle with vulnerability. And sometimes they'll end up leading from fear instead of clarity. But leaders who do forgive themselves, they become grounded, empathetic, calm under pressure, and incredibly powerful in the way that they show up, because they're not hiding from themselves anymore. So I wanted to bring this a little more to life for you with the 5 steps that we went through. I had a best friend in high school that I was really close to for a number of years, and was pretty much the brother I never had. And when we were both 20, we had a big misunderstanding and a really bad argument, which led to the end of our friendship. And at the time, I really didn't take it so hard because I was like, I don't really need a friend like that anymore. Our friendship had kind of drifted. I started hanging out with a different crowd that didn't match the people I wanted to be around. Years later, though, down the road, I was notified, matter of fact, about 9 years ago, that he had taken his life. And what was really bizarre about that was this was the guy that had it all. He had an incredible upbringing, all the fixins, so to speak, Catholic school, went on to Maryland University. He really had everything to make it, handsome, charismatic, athletic, everything. So the shock of him taking his own life just devastated me. I think I've told the story before about him. And the weird thing was when social media was invented, I'd see him on Facebook or whatever, and I'm thinking all it takes is the click of a button and I could reach out and maybe we could see how each other's doing now and maybe sort of feel out, would we be friends again? Is that forgotten? Is that forgiven? But I never clicked the button. So a big part of me wondered forever if I had just reached out, would have something changed? Would something inside of him change? Maybe in his moments of desperation, he would have reached out to me and I could have talked him off the ledge. But unfortunately, that opportunity never came. So if I put what I went through with the 5 steps that we covered, it looks like this. Number 1, tell the truth. Like we said, I had to face what happened and really let it sink in, which I'll be honest, it took a while. Thank God my wife was there for me. We had a lot of conversation about it, but I had a really hard time processing his passing in the way that it happened. I mean, him taking his own life, that was very severe. Number 2, you separate who you are from what you did. So it's me not reaching out may have been the mistake, but it doesn't define me as a person or the good nature that I strive for. It was simply something that I chose not to do in the time because I didn't know what the reaction would be. Number 3, extract the lesson. So it taught me that friendship sometimes can end for a reason, but nonetheless, if you have an opportunity to reach out to somebody, it's worth the risk than to not do it at all. And that was the lesson. Number 4, make it right if you can. So apologize, repair, or change your behavior. So I began to forgive myself because I had no idea what was going on with him in his life. It had been so long, 25 something years. And the best that I could do was to reach out to his family and have several discussions with his ex-wife and his mother to explain how sorry I was that he had left us that way. I also explained to them that I would live twice as boldly going forward in honor of him. Number 5, release the punishment. At some point, you got to just let go. And at that point, after speaking with family and friends, I was able to really let go. I had just realized that there are certain things in life you can't control. You can only do your best. And I made peace with myself. And so now when I work out at the gym or I hear a song that we used to like together, I'm flooded with nothing but good memories and more energy to be my absolute best. And so here is your call to action for this episode. I want you to do this today, not someday. Take 10 minutes and I want you to write down one thing that you haven't forgiven yourself for. What actually happened, and I mean tell the truth, what really went down, what you learned, and what you would do differently now. Take 10 minutes, write down one thing that you haven't forgiven yourself for, what really happened behind it, what you learned, and what would you do differently now. And when you do this, I want you to say it out loud. I am not who I was. I am who I am becoming now, and I release this. That's where the shift is going to begin. So let me ask you a couple questions as we close out the episode. I want you to sit with these for a while. Don't rush through them, but ask yourself again, what am I holding against myself? What story have I been telling myself about that moment? Is that story actually true, or is it just familiar? What would it look like if I finally let this go? And lastly, who could I become if I stopped carrying this? Forgiving yourself doesn't mean you forget. It means you stop letting your past define your future. And I will tell you, this is the thing that holds most people back, is they get stuck in this narrative in their mind of who they are, and they forget their possibilities and all their capabilities to become who they've always wanted to be. And once you do that, you become lighter, you become freer, you become stronger, you become someone who can really lead their life, like this podcast is all about. And that's what I want you to remember. Leadership isn't about how you lead others, but it's how you lead yourself first, especially through the hardest moments. All right, so that is my episode. And if this episode gave you practical insight, please share it with someone that you think would benefit. And if it impacted you for the better, please leave me a rating or review on whatever platform you hear me on. And please hit that subscribe button so you won't miss another episode of the Leading Life Podcast. I'm Andy Zook. I want you to lead with purpose, live with intention, and keep becoming who you are meant to be. But most of all, I want you to go out today and be the hero of somebody's story. I'll talk to you on the next episode. Lead on, forgive yourself, move forward. Bye.